It's a personal thing. I hate that song. There's nothing wrong with Kenny Loggins, of course. I love Kenny Loggins.
Is it tied into a former relationship?
No.
Okay.
No, not at all. My mother on Sundays used to blast the Footloose soundtrack.
That meant it was time to clean the house.
And that meant it was time to clean. And I could not watch football on Sundays until everything was clean, and that meant me cleaning the bathrooms and vacuuming and stuff. So every time I hear anything from the Footloose soundtrack, I just immediately start smelling the Pine Sol and the bleach.
All right, rank in order the worst possible intros to the show for you today. Would it be Kenny Loggins and Footloose, anything from Journey, or Billy Joel?
Well, okay, so my overexposure to Billy Joel, I've gotten over that, and I'm going to college in Long Island. If you don't listen to Billy Joel, then you're an outcast, no matter what kind of music you listen to. So
Joe Fish and Joe Patch, they all listen to Billy Joel too. Then.
Well, they're not from the island.
Okay.
They're from Westchester. But
what about Mitch from Jersey? Do you think he's a Billy Joel fan?
He probably is. Yeah. He's probably
hated, but it's not one of my.
The list, it says Journey, it is still there, and
it's just the overexposure. That's not on the. It's just the overexposure. That's not on the.
It is funny that
was on
not. It is funny that
was on
not. It's not.
Oh yes.
That Boston.
It's a nice area, and
it's not.
Oh yes.
That Boston.
It's a nice area, and
it's really cool, and you take over. That's really cool, and you take over. The next couple of hours, there's someone, and you got to do the little obs test. The next couple of hours, there's someone, and you got to do the little obs test for anybody. A good full test for anybody. A good full step in fur going to be here for anybody. A good full step in fur going to be here. I think Mike Blazer's full step in fur going to be here. I think Mike Blazer's merch booth.
Travis DeMers
here. I think Mike Blazer's merch booth.
Travis DeMers is hanging out with things that are going on out west.
Merch booth.
Travis DeMers is hanging out with things that are going on out west, and they kick off the vision. What do you think? DeMers is hanging out with things that are going on out west, and they kick off the vision. What do you think about this matchup?
Any weeks to go.
And they kick off the vision. What do you think about this matchup?
Any weeks to go. They're all left to go in the season. And
about this matchup?
Any weeks to go. They're all left to go in the season. And one it up, freeze. One it up, freeze. For the winner is potentially
is after this.
The winner is potentially
is after this series because they get through because that franchise is trash. Bubble series because they get through because that franchise is trash. Bubble Park against the Dodgers.
Take 2 out of 3. Take 2 out of 3 series. It could be completely missed. And if they wrap them, so set a couple of guys because they're going to wrap them. So set a couple of guys because they're going to get 1 day off.
We're in the regular season.
So set a couple of guys because they're going to get 1 day off.
We're in the regular season is going to wrap up failures. Probably
we've looked run average regular season to make the case postseason. I'm not talking about Mariano Rivera. I'm not talking about I'm not talking about closers, playoffs, regular season starting pitchers. In the last 60 years, nobody has been better than Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah. You probably saw the stat today. I think it's
I didn't.
His career earned run average identical both college and in the pros. So 18 years with the Dodgers, then in college, I think it's like a 2.44. It's the exact same number.
It's pretty good. But think about that. In this era, a career 244 earned run average.
Yeah.
Like, we're making a big deal about what Paul Skeens is doing right now. Obviously, to start his career, he has been absolutely brilliant.
He's a filthy man.
Brilliant. But you look around the league, and the best pitchers to have a sub-2.5 ERA in a season is outstanding. But to have it in a career that spans almost 2 decades, if he is not a first-ballot Hall of Famer, it is a travesty. And if anybody does not vote him in, it's because the historical aspect of not wanting him to be unanimous.
No question. And with the Mariners, too, easy to criticize the front office over the years, but
sure.
I give them credit for what they did this year, making the moves they did at the deadline and putting them in a position now where they've got the pitching, their defense is good. If they can just get that timely hitting, they got a chance to go deep.
Yeah, I mean, over the years, the problem has been, okay, you've got some very good pitching, and they've had some very good pitching. You know, when Felix was in his prime, they brought in Cliff Lee for a brief period of time. They've had some really good pitching. The starting pitching this year has been terrific.
Yeah.
Munoz has been awesome coming out of the pen. Their staff has been great. But when this franchise has not had the hitting and the pitching at the same time.
Yeah.
Right? So you have Julio, who he's had some up and down times, but he's very good. Cal Raleigh, in terms of the power numbers, historic. But to go bring in a couple of big bats, you go get Naylor, you go get Suarez, you make the commitment that they have made to the offense. It's now, this is the most complete team that we've seen for the Mariners in a quarter century.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be fun to watch and see how it plays out. Real quick, Aaron Judge, Cal Raleigh. I mean, if you look at the numbers, Aaron Judge, far and away the runaway winner of the MVP award, you would think.
I think so, yeah. But you look at the power numbers that I mentioned. This year, Cal Raleigh, what is he at now, 56? Is that where he's at? Okay.
Tied with Griffey.
Right. So Cal Raleigh has set the all-time mark of home runs by a catcher. No catcher had ever hit 50 in this. He has tied Ken Griffey Jr. for the most home runs in Mariners history, and I would imagine that he'd break that. He has been a tremendous defensive catcher. There is no denying the impact of what Cal Raleigh has done.
Yeah, been huge.
Offensively, though, it's one-dimensional. He's hitting 240. You know what the lowest batting average that an MVP has ever had in the history of Major League Baseball?
I'm going to guess 300.
No, 257.
257.
Okay? And that was Shohei Ohtani with the Angels in 2021. We're talking about 17 points. The next lowest, you have to go back to the 1940s, and it was 267.
Who was that?
I don't remember. I heard it the other day. I looked it up, and I forgot. But I think there's only been, 3 or 4 that have hit under 280. So you think about that, we're talking about a historically low batting average. And there's also a stat out there that I think only once or twice in Major League history has a player hit 50 home runs or more and hit under 260. Cal Raleigh and Kyle Schwarber are both going to do that this year. So while I think if Cal gets to 60, he's going to get a lot more votes. But when you have Aaron Judge, who's sitting at 48, even though he missed a couple of weeks, he's leading the major leagues in batting average, running away with it in OPS, slugging percentage, on-base percentage, very good defense, the leadership. I'm a huge fan of Cal Raleigh and his tuchus. But to me, it's a no-brainer that Aaron Judge is the MVP this year. And he could be, if he
rally. All right, the 5.
Put money on that if you're Oregon State.
To the portal, I think the defense with their new DC. We'll start with you.
You know, this is the true. I think this team physicaling people, right? You're seeing Dakarian Moore making highlights, a wide receiver making highlights for blocks. You're seeing us for blocks. You're seeing a tight end making highlights for blocks, and those are the things you have to do to win ball games. And then up front, the offensive line, they're opening those holes. Dante Moore is getting all the time in the world to make these throws, and those are the things you need to do. They are big, they are strong, and they're playing physical football.
Yeah, and to your point, Chris, I mean, when the Ducks have played big-time opponents in the last 10, 15, 18 years or so and lost those games, why was it, right? Why did they lose to Ohio State? Not last year, but in previous years. You know, why did they lose to Auburn? Why did they lose to LSU? Why did they lose those games?
There's a common denominator with every game you mentioned.
Go back to Auburn. That team was built on speed. They were undersized. They couldn't stop Nick Fairley. They couldn't get to Cam Newton.
Exactly.
Right? The Ohio State game, but Mariota's team, same thing. Built on speed, not as physical. 100%.
So that has been the issue, and it's not just been that way for Oregon. It's been that way for the Pac-10, Pac-12 for a long, long time. So the fact that Dan Lanning has continued what Mario Cristobal started and building from the inside out. You have to. I'm not saying that you don't have to have a great quarterback. You do. You don't have to have great skill position players. But the teams that have historically been successful and sustainable in college football have been teams that can kick your ass on the lines. Whether it's Alabama, LSU, Ohio State. Even Oklahoma 25 years ago, those teams were big and physical and powerful. And we've heard the stories of, down in Phoenix, Chad, and you were there in Glendale when Oregon played Auburn in that national title game of, the look when Auburn got off the bus. That's real. So now Oregon has put themselves in that category. And when you can do that and have depth doing that, and it's not just a couple of guys on your offensive line, when you recruit that way and you average 315, 330 across the offensive line and 290 on the defensive ends and 325 at your D tackles, but those guys have agility and they're smart, that's how you get it done. So when in years past, and Oregon has had top-tier quarterbacks, and I'm not talking the Marcus further, the tempo, are doing the thing where they are
last week of times.
Yeah.
You had to sustain the Duck team built like that
out in bad weather
at standard definition, playing whatever bowl game style league spread when they were winning and and they could give the ball in the early quarterback as we have ever south. They were the ball in the early quarterback as we have ever south. They were they're going to play. They
I think their season and there's a matter of on the schedule the rest of the
terms of enough to compete. Oregon's there. I like to innovate a college just in of 2002, 2002 players had an issue to the huge change in leadership. You have and that know the playbook here.
Yeah. Sound team loses, but they be mad if you go out there snapping over the plays. That's where you get mad, and that comes to plays. That's where you get mad, and that comes back to the whole preparation thing. That's where some of this is coaching. Like, you have to coach your guys to know what to do in those situations, and then again, play assignment sound. So if I get beat on a streak because my cornerback isn't as fast as a wide receiver, that's okay. But if I get beat because my cornerback's in la-la land looking left when the play's going on the right, then I get irritated. So I just want to make sure my players are making the right plays.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to rip Trent Bray here. He is still a young coach.
Yeah, he's learning.
He is a smart football guy. You could tell when he was a player, you could tell how smart he was. He is definitely a smart football guy. But I think in the position that he is in, he has a lot to learn on how to lead a program.
Yeah, think about all the different things coaches in today's college game have to do. It's not just the X's and O's. You're leading an entire program. You're setting an example for the kids, like you mentioned. The fundraising that goes into it now by talking to boosters and trying to get money into the program for NIL and other purposes. Like, there's a lot of different things that go to it. And, I don't know if he's the right guy for the job or not, but I think we're going to find out a lot about Trent Bray and this group over the next, 4 or 5 weeks as they get into the better part of their schedule.
Oregon State needs to accept the fact that they are what they are,
Yeah.
and that is not a power conference team anymore. They're not. They are the equivalent of a Mountain West team now. That's just what they are. And the conference that they're going to be in next year, you look at all the programs in there. Boise State has had the most success, obviously, but they are mid-tier teams. Fresno State, Utah State, teams that have had some years where they've had success. But there is nobody in that conference that is going to consistently compete for a national championship. And when that happens, you have to do what Boise State did.
Yeah.
3-star guys and some 2-star guys, and understand that you might get a guy who completely excels and have to recruit that way and coach that way.
I think Fresno State is the great example, because I think there was a point in time where you could set your watch to Fresno State. They're going to go get you 6 wins. They're going to get you 7 wins.
And they're going to beat a big boy.
Right, and they're going to have those up. They're not going to be in competition for a national championship unless they have, look at Hawaii, right? The 1 year with Colt Brennan, boom, undefeated, Sugar Bowl. Like, it's a great year. Yeah, they got beat by Georgia, but you can have those years when you try to find sustained success. So again, when you figure out what you are, which is like you said, you are basically you're a Mountain West team with a Pac-12 logo. Let's be frank,
100%.
right? So when you start recruiting like that and getting into that mentality, you'll have those good years. It's about finding that success along the way. And a lot of those teams, San Jose State has found it over the years. Boise State is the greatest example of having the top tier success. But Fresno State is one. Guess what? They're going to go have 6 wins, and we're going to be happy.
Do we have numbers on what their TV deal is going to be yet? I haven't seen anything specific. Probably because there's still a conference that's a work in progress.
What's crazy, Chad, is that Boise State is going to be the highest profile team in the Pac-12. Boise State.
A team that the Pac-12 forever is like, no, we can't have you in our
Too good for
conference.
you.
Yep.
That's going to be tough. The other point that was made, a couple of things. Mike Parker mentioned what you just said. Maybe they go out and they don't beat Oregon, but you play a cleaner football game where you don't have the mistakes with the snaps, the penalties, and the turnovers, so you can come out of that feeling pretty good about yourself. But I think it was, I think maybe I was talking to Dwight this week, but he made a good point that back in the old days with Mike Riley, he would recruit the 3 stars, develop, and then know that every 4 years you could make a run at the conference championship.
And that's what they did.
Yes, but the problem is now these teams like Oregon State or Boise, they'll start to develop young guys, and as soon as they get too good, then you got the bigger schools coming in offering more than what those schools can afford too. So you're getting plucked by the bigger schools once you develop some of those players.
It's interesting because in basketball, it's a little bit more free in terms of, and I'm not saying that the rules, I'm saying it happens a little bit more freely. I was talking to Rod Strickland about this last weekend, about how you recruit in this climate.
Head coach at
LIU, baby.
Yeah.
LIU Sharks head coach. I was talking to him about, how you recruit knowing that if you have a player that becomes a star, he's not coming back. He's going to go somewhere else. And he said you have to understand that that's what it is, and you have to be able to use the transfer portal to your advantage. And while it is a disadvantage for mid-major schools, you have to use it as a tool to be at your advantage. And you can go find a player that's a reclamation project.
Yeah.
That was a higher profile player that didn't get playing time and profile up. And football is similar. Look at what Boise State.
Give him the nod yet over Nick. I think the explosion play is back.
Arm and a good poise and them up for success, right? Making good plays and sure on his back.
We'll
see.
Him great recruiter, smart. Great time for the fan. Noon to 2. Dame's going to be on.
He's happy being away from his kids. He and I in a season where he to have him with him. He won't really know
Dame when he says I love.
Sitting like, oh, Boston world, right? Like he's into, oh no, it's never seen that. Man,
Yeah.
we all love the game. It's the love that they have for him. Older tears, the love that they have for him. Older tears, just out of.
Well, with half of last year where they were.
this amount of absolutely, and for that's not the team that he signed up for. A couple of years ago, needed to coach the same way. Last 41 games on the young players. Ani going into his third same way. Last 41 games on the young players. Ani going into his third ship team with an opportunity to make
City rally at the Gresham weekend with the Civil War coming up to our weekend of NFL.
He's breaking
Stopped of NFL.
he's breaking
Stopped and kind of had a just trying to
dude's
crack up
awesome.
his coach.
That dude's awesome.
Dude, the contact balance, it just blows me away. But he was big time, and then he was over there on the sideline.
To me, he reminds me a little bit of like a cross between Mike Allstott and Gronk. You know?
Yes, crazy like Gronk and built like Allstott.
Yeah, like
Who had, like,
Rick,
no
you
neck.
know what house.
Yeah, he had no neck.
Yeah.
I hate the fact, obviously with all the high school stuff I do, I was out at a game a year or two ago and a kid was wearing like a neck roll and he was playing running back. I'm like, do you do that on purpose? Like, are you trying to, channel your inner Mike Allstott? And he's like, who's Mike Allstott? I'm like, oh, God, I've hit that age, right? I have to explain to you. I just told the kid, I was like, just go YouTube it and thank me later, especially if you're playing running back. You need to know who that guy is.
He probably retired before that kid was born.
I know, but you need to know who that guy is.
Yeah.
All right, you, Travis,
Old.
you were just at the league meetings.
Yeah.
Kind of give me a little breakdown of what you do at the league meetings and what you learned.
So it's the league broadcast and PR meeting. So it's all broadcasters, TV and radio, directors, producers, sideline reporters, and then there's also PR at the same time. And so to have PR and broadcast together, which I think last year was the first year they did that, this year, a lot of that's behind the scenes, not for public consumption stuff, but really it's an education, right? And it's an education into the changes with all the broadcast deals, how we can consume things, league messaging, new rules, officiating changes, points of emphasis in that regard, and it's an opportunity for everybody to come together in one spot and learn that. And I am so excited about the national broadcasting opportunities because we're going to see so much more basketball and so much more free basketball on NBC, obviously ABC, but Peacock, the streamings, Prime. And one thing that they are very excited about is in the game broadcasts themselves, we're not talking about talking heads. It's going to be more of a focus on basketball and what's happening on the floor than any of the off-court drama, because research has shown that that's what fans want. You're going to get more basketball during the games, like it should be, than ever before across the league.